My parents canceled my 18th birthday for my brother's tantrum, so I quietly moved out and watched their perfect family fall apart without me. What's going on, everybody? It's Finn here with another family Reddit tale. Quick heads up, we're still rocking the new format, so drop a comment and let us know what you think. Alright, so this story. Man, I read this one twice because the first time through I had to keep stopping to process what I was reading. We've got an 18-year-old kid who's been holding his entire family together since he was old enough to do laundry, paying bills, buying groceries, keeping the house running while his parents dump every resource they have into his older brother, who is basically a walking disaster in expensive clothes. And on this kid's 18th birthday, the one day he's been looking forward to for years, they cancel his party because his brother had a bad week. Not a crisis, not an emergency, a bad week. What happens next is one of the most satisfying slow burn revenge stories I've ever read on Reddit. Buckle in. This is a long one. He starts it off like this.
So Reddit. I'm 20 now, but this story starts when I turned 18 2 years ago. My brother Cole is 24 and has been the family golden child since the day he was born. We're talking full-blown Prince syndrome. The kind of guy who throws tantrums in public at 24 years old and nobody in my family sees a problem with it. Growing up outside of Phoenix, my dad Rick owns a plumbing and HVAC company that does pretty well. Custom installs, commercial contracts, that kind of thing. Mom Diane works as a real estate agent for one of those fancy firms that sells big houses to people relocating from California. Between the two of them, they pull in solid money. Nice house in a gated community, pool out back, 2-car garage. We had it good. Should have been enough for both kids to have decent lives. Yeah, wasn't. Cole figured out real early that screaming and crying got him whatever he wanted. Full meltdowns. Throwing himself on the floor, yelling until his face went purple, threatening to do stupid stuff to himself if he didn't get his way. I remember one time we were at a Costco. I was maybe 11 or 12. He was like 17. And he had a full tantrum in the checkout line because Mom said no to some gaming headset. A grown teenager on the floor of a Costco. The lady behind us in line was holding her kid's hand and they both just stared. Nobody in my family said a word about it in the car ride home. Just silence. Like it was normal. Because for us, it was. By the time I was old enough to really understand what was going on, the pattern was locked in solid. He got a brand new Jeep Wrangler for his 16th birthday. Blacked out, lifted, custom wheels that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. I got Dad's old work truck with 200,000 miles on it. Radio barely worked. Picked up like 3 AM stations, and one of them was in Spanish, which would have been fine, except I don't speak Spanish. The gap between how they treated us wasn't even subtle. Cole got a fat monthly allowance the entire time he was floating through 6 years of on and off community college. I worked 25 hours a week at a gym just to pay for gas and school supplies. When Cole wanted to redo his room for the 3rd time in 2 years, Mom and Dad dropped serious money on furniture from some designer place in Scottsdale. When I asked for help buying textbooks for my AP classes, they told me I needed to learn financial responsibility. When he wanted to go on some trip to Miami with his boys for a week, covered. All of it. Flights, hotel, spending cash. When I wanted to go to a leadership camp that cost $400, budget's tight this month. $400. In a household making over 200 grand a year. Budget's tight. Cole totaled his Jeep junior year because he was on his phone while driving. Dad bought him a newer one. Accidents happen. I got a speeding ticket, 5 over in a school zone, and got grounded for a month, plus had to pay the fine out of my gym money. He failed the same class twice, and they hired a tutor at $75 an hour without a second thought. I needed help with calculus? Figure it out, you're smart enough. He wanted a new laptop because his was too slow? Done. Next day. I asked if I could use the family printer for a school project, and Mom told me to go to the library. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't he just say something? And yeah, I did. Multiple times. Every single time it was the same answer. Cole is more sensitive. Cole needs extra support. Cole is still finding himself. Meanwhile, I was naturally responsible and didn't need as much attention because I was mature for my age. They literally used the fact that I had my life together as a reason to give me less. Like being competent was a punishment. Here's the thing, though. I was the one actually keeping that family running while Cole created chaos. While he partied and skipped classes and treated college like a 6-year vacation, I maintained a 4.2 GPA, worked part-time, volunteered at the animal shelter, and handled most of the house stuff that grown adults should have been managing. I was the one who remembered to pay the water bill when Mom was out showing houses. I was the one who picked up Dad's dry cleaning when his back was messing with him after long days on job sites. I was the one who went grocery shopping and meal planned and made sure there was actual food in the house. I was the one cleaning up Cole's messes. And I mean that both ways.
When you're the responsible kid in a family that revolves around the irresponsible one, you become invisible. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're doing everything right. And people stop looking at the thing that works. They only notice the thing that's broken. That's what happened here. He was the foundation they were all standing on, and nobody ever looked down.
The worst part was how they'd use me to fix Cole's problems and then hand him all the credit when things worked out. He wrecks the Jeep. I'm the one spending my entire Saturday helping Dad deal with insurance and hunting down replacement parts online while Cole sits in his room watching TV. He finally scrapes through that class on his third try. That's because I spent months, walking him through basic concepts that honestly he should have known from high school. He gets picked up at 2 in the morning for being somewhere sketchy. Guess who had to drive across town to go get him? Not Mom and Dad. They were too emotionally drained to deal with it. So I went, in my pajamas, on a school night. I had a history test the next morning. Got a B on it because I was running on 4 hours of sleep. Cole slept until noon. But when he eventually graduated community college, 2 years late with a GPA that I'm pretty sure was being held together by duct tape and my tutoring, who got the celebration? Him. We're so proud of how you've overcome your challenges. Standing ovation from both parents. Meanwhile, I'm standing there holding a plate of cake thinking I literally wrote 2 of his final papers and nobody in this room knows or cares. Anyway, I kept telling myself things would change when I turned 18. Legal adult, high school graduation coming up, early acceptance to Arizona State with partial scholarships. This was supposed to be my moment. For once I wanted to be the center of attention for a good reason. Not because I was solving someone else's problem, not because Cole needed bailing out again, just me being celebrated for what I'd done. I asked my parents if we could throw a party. Nothing huge. Family, some friends from school and work, maybe 25 or 30 people. Backyard cookout, music, burgers on the grill. I even offered to help pay for it with money I'd saved. Mom and Dad were actually into it. Our baby's becoming a man, Mom kept saying. Dad wanted to rent one of those inflatable obstacle courses because he thought it'd be funny. We planned the whole thing, sent invitations 3 weeks early, ordered a custom cake from this bakery downtown, built a whole playlist. I invited everybody who mattered. My best friend Jake, my girlfriend Leah, guys from the baseball team, co-workers from the gym, my favorite teacher who wrote my recommendation letters, my boss who'd been like a mentor to me when my own family couldn't be bothered. This was going to be it. My moment. Then exactly 3 days before the party, Cole's Vegas trip got canceled. He'd been planning this thing for months with his buddy group. Some big weekend at a resort. Nice rooms, shows, the whole deal. Dad had already dropped like $4,000 on Cole's share. He'd been talking about it nonstop, bought new clothes for it, had the whole thing mapped out on his phone. But his friend group had some massive falling out. I never got the full story on what happened, and honestly I didn't care. And suddenly the trip was dead. Deposits gone. And Cole was stuck at home with nothing to do. He came home that Friday afternoon completely losing his mind. Full nuclear meltdown, crying, yelling, slamming doors. Threw his phone at the wall hard enough to crack the screen. 24 years old, acting like somebody took his toy away at daycare. Parents went into full emergency mode immediately. Mom called out of work to sit with him. Canceled 3 client meetings, which probably cost her real money and lost commissions. Dad dropped his weekend plans. They ordered Cole's favorite food from the expensive sushi place, ran him a bath like he was 5, basically treated the whole thing like he was recovering from surgery instead of missing a trip most people couldn't afford in the first place. Saturday morning, less than 24 hours before my party, I'm in the kitchen at 7 a.m. prepping food and hanging decorations when Cole comes downstairs in his pajamas. Eyes red, face puffy, the whole performance. I can't handle having a party here tomorrow, said it like he was reading off a doctor's note. I'm too stressed out right now. All those people and the noise, it's going to make everything worse. I need the house to be quiet so I can process what happened. Process what happened. His buddies canceled a trip to Vegas. My stomach just dropped. Cole, it's my birthday party. We've been planning this for weeks. People are already coming. I know, and I'm sorry about the timing, he said. And here come the tears right on cue. But I'm going through something really hard right now. Having a party would be really insensitive to what I'm dealing with. Mom, and I should have seen this coming from a mile away, started nodding. He has a point, honey. Your brother is dealing with a lot of disappointment right now. This whole trip situation really rattled him. I looked at her. Mom, it's my 18th birthday. This is a big deal. I invited my teacher, my boss. Leah's parents are coming. Cole hit me with it. If you actually cared about me as your brother, you'd push it back until I'm feeling better. That's what family does. Dad walked in. Didn't even ask what was going on. Just heard Cole's voice doing the wobbly thing it does when he's performing for an audience and immediately took his side. Son, your brother needs us right now. You're tough enough to handle a little letdown. He's not wired the same way you are. Dad, people are expecting to be here tomorrow. I spent weeks planning this. I ordered a custom cake. I built the whole menu. Everything's ready. He was already mentally gone. Already moved on. We'll do it next weekend. Family comes first. Your brother needs support more than you need a party. You'll have plenty of other birthdays. Plenty of other birthdays. Like turning 18 happens twice. Like you get a do-over on the day you become a legal adult. He said it the way you'd tell someone their pizza order got messed up, like it was a minor inconvenience that I'd forget about by Tuesday. The thing is, and this is the part that still gets me 2 years later, it wasn't even about the party. Not really. It was about 18 years of being told my stuff doesn't matter. 18 years of hearing you can handle it every time I got less than I deserved. My whole childhood summed up in one Saturday morning conversation in a kitchen that I was the only one who ever cleaned.
I need you to really hear what just happened. His parents canceled his 18th birthday, a milestone he'd been building toward for years, because his 24-year-old brother was sad about missing a trip to Vegas. Not a medical emergency, not a death in the family, a canceled vacation, and they told him to deal with it because he's tough enough. That right there is 18 years of favoritism summed up in one sentence. You're strong enough to be disappointed. He's not, so you lose. Again.
I spent the rest of Saturday making the most humiliating phone calls of my life, canceling my own birthday party one person at a time. Had to lie and say I got sick because there was no way I was telling anyone the real reason. What would I even say? Hey, sorry, my 24-year-old brother is sad about a canceled trip, so my parents shut down my 18th birthday. That's not something you can explain without sounding insane. My girlfriend Leah was confused and kind of hurt. She'd already bought me a gift and gotten her hair done. Jake was straight up ticked off. He'd turned down other plans to be there. A couple guys from the baseball team had rearranged their weekend schedules. My teacher, Mrs. Patterson, the one who wrote my recommendation letters, she paused on the phone for a long time and then asked very carefully if everything was okay at home. I think she could hear something in my voice that I was trying to hide. My boss said he understood, but the way he said it told me he thought it was weird. Because it was weird. It was extremely weird. And I had to sit there and pretend it was fine. Pretend I was just sick. Pretend my stomach hurt or I had a fever or whatever excuse I made up. While the real reason, the real, actual, pathetic reason, was that my adult brother was pouting about a vacation. Meanwhile, Cole spent the rest of Saturday laying by the pool posting sad stuff on social media about dealing with life's curveballs and finding peace in the unexpected. Had his sunglasses on. Iced coffee in his hand. Dude looked like he was at a resort. Real traumatized. That night I sat in my room on what should have been the night before my party and I made a decision. I was done. Done being this family's emotional support system. Done being the invisible kid who keeps everything running while getting nothing back. Done. Morning of my actual birthday. Woke up to nothing. No happy birthday. No breakfast. No card. Nothing. Mom was in the kitchen making Cole his favorite smoothie with the expensive stuff she buys special for him. Dad was already gone to a job site because apparently when it's my birthday, Sunday's just another work day. Around noon, Cole had the nerve to tell me I was bringing down the mood by being quiet. It's not my fault your party got canceled, he said, scrolling through his phone while eating the fancy lunch Mom made him. You don't have to be all mopey about it. Some of us are dealing with real problems. Something broke in me. Not in a dramatic movie way where the music swells and the camera does a close-up. More like, I don't know. A switch that had been stuck for 18 years finally clicked over. Quietly. I realized I was 18. Legal adult. Had money saved from 2 years at the gym. Had friends with families that actually treated me like a human being. Had grades and scholarships and a college acceptance letter sitting in my desk drawer. I had options. For the first time ever, I actually had options, and the thought hit me so hard I had to sit down on my bed for a minute. Started making calls from my room. Kept my voice low. Door shut. First, my baseball coach. His family had always been good to me. I mean genuinely good. Not the performative kind of good my parents did when company was over. Their oldest was away at college, so they had a spare room. I explained things without getting too specific, and he didn't even pause. His wife grabbed the phone. You're like a son to us already. Come stay as long as you need. Second, my boss at the gym. He'd been pushing me to pick up more hours for a while now. Had another location across town that needed reliable people. I asked about going close to full-time and he said 30 hours a week starting immediately. You're the best employee I've ever had at any age. Whatever you need to do, I'll make it work. Third, Mrs. Callahan, the school advisor who handles transcripts and college prep stuff, told her what happened. She went quiet for a beat. Then, real carefully, she said, "What your parents did was wrong. Let me help you figure out how to finish senior year independently." She gave me her personal number in case I needed anything after hours. First adult in my family's orbit who ever did that. By Sunday night, I had a full plan. Spent the next week acting completely normal on the surface. Went to school, worked my shifts, did my usual chores around the house, talked at dinner when spoken to, helped Dad with a billing question for his company. Even made Mom's favorite pasta one night because that's what I'd always done. Parents thought my attitude improved and were actually proud that I was handling the disappointment maturely. That was the phrase Mom used, handling it maturely. Like a pat on the head for the dog who stopped whining. What they had absolutely no idea about was that I was quietly moving my life out of that house one bag at a time. Every day after school. I think I started on a Monday. Wait, might have been Tuesday actually. Doesn't matter. Point is, every day I'd swing by Coach's place and drop off a few more things. Important documents went first. Birth certificate, social security card, passport, bank stuff. Then my laptop and chargers, then clothes, books, my baseball glove and cleats that I'd broken in over 2 seasons. The trophy from junior year regionals, the one I won the same weekend they missed the game because Cole needed a ride to some friend's place an hour away. I sat in my truck holding that trophy and honestly almost lost it. Just sat there in the parking lot of my coach's house for like 10 minutes staring at it. I also stopped doing all the invisible stuff. Didn't remind Dad that the mortgage was due on the 15th. Didn't update Mom's client calendar, didn't go grocery shopping, didn't clean up after Cole's mess in the kitchen, didn't take the trash out on Wednesday nights, just quietly, methodically, removed myself from every system I'd built to keep that household from falling apart. Nobody noticed. Not for the whole week. That tells you everything. The following Saturday, exactly 7 days after my canceled birthday, I waited until the house was empty. Mom at a showing, Dad at a job site, Cole at the mall spending money he didn't earn, buying stuff he didn't need, living a life he hadn't built. I packed everything left into garbage bags and boxes, stripped my room down to the furniture, took the sheets off the bed, took the posters off the walls, left nothing that was mine. Set my house key on the mattress next to a note. Since my feelings and milestones don't seem to matter in this family, I've decided to go somewhere they do. Don't contact me unless you're ready to genuinely apologize and actually change how you treat me. This isn't a phase or a tantrum. This is me choosing to be around people who think I'm worth something. Loaded everything into my old truck, the one with 200,000 miles and the broken radio, the one they gave me while Cole got a Jeep, and took one last look at the house. Sat in the driveway for maybe 30 seconds, not being dramatic about it, just letting it land. 18 years, that's how long I lived there. And the only thing I felt pulling out of that driveway was relief. The street I grew up on looked the same as it always did. Mailboxes and palm trees and sprinklers running on timers, normal suburb stuff, but I wasn't part of it anymore. And that felt more like freedom than anything I'd ever experienced.
He didn't scream, didn't slam doors, didn't throw a fit the way Cole would have. He just packed his stuff and left a note. That's the difference between these two. One of them spent his whole life making noise to get attention. The other spent his whole life being quiet and useful. And the quiet one is the one who just walked out the door and took the entire foundation with him.
Living with my coach's family was honestly kind of shocking. Not in a bad way, in a, wait, this is how normal families work, way. They asked me how my day was. And then they listened to the answer. Like, actually listened. Not the thing my parents did where they'd ask and then check their phone while I was talking. Coach's wife made this chicken casserole thing every Thursday that was incredible. I still think about it honestly. They included me in decisions. Celebrated when good stuff happened. Checked on me when I seemed off. First time in my life I felt like the people around me actually wanted me there. Not for what I could do for them, just there. Meanwhile, back at the old house, yeah, things fell apart. Fast. All that background stuff I'd been handling for years. Bills, appointments, groceries, organization. Nobody was doing any of it anymore. And it showed immediately. 3 weeks after I left, they missed a mortgage payment. Late fees on multiple cards. Mom lost a big client because she blanked on a deadline I would have had circled on the calendar in red marker. Dad botched a bid on a commercial plumbing job. Underestimated materials by like 30% because nobody was double-checking his numbers anymore. But all of that was small potatoes compared to Cole. See, with me gone, my parents had to deal with his problems directly. No buffer, no middleman, no quiet younger brother to absorb the impact and clean up the mess. And Cole had problems that had been stacking up like a house of cards. First, he failed 2 classes and got put on academic probation. Without me there to basically do half his homework and walk him through concepts a middle schooler could handle, he was completely lost. He'd been leaning on me so long he never actually learned how to study or manage his own work. Dad hired a tutor at $75 an hour, but Cole kept bailing on sessions because he didn't click with the guy. Then they found out he'd been stealing from them. And I don't mean like taking a 20 from mom's wallet here and there, I mean systematic stuff. For months, maybe way longer, nobody really knows how far back it went. He'd been swiping cash from mom's purse, using dad's credit cards for stuff they never approved, even writing checks from their joint account and forging signatures. With me gone, there was nobody keeping an eye on the numbers. Nobody catching the weird charges, nobody going, hey, this doesn't look right. It all blew up at once like a dam breaking. The total when they figured it out? Over 35 grand. Gone. Spent on clothes and trips and random junk he wanted because in his brain he was entitled to whatever, whenever, no questions asked. $35,000 that could have gone toward my school, could have padded their retirement, could have fixed the roof that had been leaking since I was 16. Instead, it went into Cole's bottomless pit of wanting stuff he didn't earn. Actually, back up. I forgot to mention this part. Before they even discovered the money thing, Cole also got busted for running up charges on a credit card that wasn't his. Some store finally flagged it, and it turned into a whole legal situation. Dad had to get a lawyer. Legal fees, restitution, court costs, thousands of dollars they didn't have because Cole had already drained them dry. The thing is, he wasn't doing it because he was broke. He had access to money. He just liked the feeling of getting away with it. That's the kind of person they raised by never telling him no. And instead of finally holding him accountable, they doubled down. Dad took out a second mortgage to cover the legal fees and Cole's accumulated damage. Mom started working 7 days a week to make up the gap. Same pattern as always. Cole creates the mess. Everybody else scrambles to clean it up. Except now, the person who usually did most of the scrambling was gone. They called me constantly. Left voicemails that got longer and more desperate every week. Come home and help us get through this. Your brother really needs you right now. Be the mature one and let's work things out as a family. But notice what was never in any of those messages? No apology for my birthday. No admission that they'd treated me wrong. Just guilt trips about how my absence was making their lives harder. We need you here. Not we're sorry, but we need you. Big difference. I didn't respond to any of it. I was too busy thriving. Kept my grades up. Worked 30 hours a week. Played baseball. Built real friendships with people who respected me. For the first time in my life, I was living for myself instead of cleaning up behind everyone else. Graduated high school with honors and a full scholarship to Arizona State. My coach's family threw me a party. An actual real one. In their backyard with streamers and a cake with my name spelled right and people who were genuinely happy for me. Not performing happiness, not doing it because they felt obligated, but actually smiling because they were proud. My coach gave a little speech about hard work and character, and I stood there holding a plate of potato salad, trying not to lose it in front of everybody, because this right here with these people who aren't even my blood, this is what it was supposed to feel like my whole life. This is what I was missing for 18 years and didn't even know how badly until I finally had it. Leah was there. Jake was there. My boss showed up with a card that had cash in it and a note that said, "Proud of you, kid." Mrs. Patterson came and hugged me and told me I was going to do incredible things. Not one person from my actual family was there, and for the first time that didn't hurt. It just felt correct.
The kid who never got his birthday party finally got one, just not from the people who were supposed to throw it. And honestly, that might be the most heartbreaking part of this whole story. Not the betrayal, not the favoritism. The fact that strangers treated him better than his own parents ever did. Think about that.
Back at the old house, things went from bad to worse to catastrophic. Cole dropped out of college after getting caught cheating. Not small-time stuff either. Paying people to write his papers, having somebody take his online exams, submitting assignments he'd straight up stolen from other students. Final straw was apparently trying to bribe a professor to change a grade. Got expelled. Dad, still trying to save his golden child, paid 15 grand for some online program that promised Cole could get a business degree in 6 months. Obviously, it was a scam. Worthless certificate. More money down the drain. Mom's real estate career was tanking because she was too stressed and distracted to focus on clients. Missed showings, forgot deadlines, lost deals she would have closed in her sleep 2 years earlier. Her reputation in the Phoenix market was falling apart. Dad's plumbing business was hurting too. Without me helping with paperwork and bids and basic organization, he'd been making expensive mistakes on jobs. Plus, he'd been borrowing against the company to fund Cole's disasters. Then, and this is where it goes completely off a cliff. About 18 months after I left, Cole pulled his biggest move yet. He got connected with some guy, through a friend of a friend or something, I never got the full details, who convinced him he could make fast money through sports betting. Not normal betting where you pick teams and hope for the best. Some kind of scheme where you put money into a system and supposedly get 5 times your investment back in a few months. Guaranteed returns. No risk. The kind of pitch that sounds obviously fake to anyone who's ever held a job or balanced a checkbook, but Cole heard easy money and his brain stopped working. Didn't ask a single question. Didn't Google the company. Didn't run it by anyone who might have told him it was garbage. Using access to the family finances, passwords he knew, accounts he could get into, he moved $45,000 out of my parents' savings and dumped it into this thing, their emergency fund. Most of their retirement savings, money they'd earmarked for the second mortgage, all of it, gone in one transfer. And then the whole operation vanished. The website went dark. The phone number stopped working. The guaranteed returns turned out to be exactly what anyone with common sense could have predicted. A scam that evaporated the second they had enough money. But it gets worse. Over the previous year, Cole had also been quietly racking up debt in my parents' names without them knowing. Credit cards they'd never applied for, loans using their social security numbers, even a car payment on a vehicle he'd already totaled. I think he rear-ended somebody while messing with his phone, same thing that happened with the Jeep years ago. Dude never learned. He'd gotten pretty sophisticated at this stuff over time. Good enough that the charges blended into their existing accounts and nobody caught it until the whole thing collapsed. When they finally sat down and added it all up, the number was over $80,000 in debt they were legally on the hook for. Combined with the lost savings and everything else that had piled up, legal fees, the second mortgage, the failed online degree scam, we're talking well over $125,000 in total damage. All because of one person they refused to say no to. They had to declare bankruptcy. Lost the house. The house I grew up in. The one with the pool and the 2-car garage and the palm trees out front. Sold at a loss. Dad's plumbing business collapsed under the weight of all the debt and legal complications. They moved into a tiny 2-bedroom apartment on the rough side of town. Had to sell Dad's truck. Had to sell Mom's nice car, the SUV she used to drive clients around in. Downsized everything. Started completely over in their 50s with basically nothing to show for 25 years of work. And Cole? The golden child? The one they'd poured every dollar and every ounce of attention into for his entire life? Faced with real consequences for the first time in 26 years, he completely fell apart. Couldn't hold a job for more than a couple weeks before quitting or getting fired. Couldn't manage basic adult stuff, bills, groceries, appointments, any of it. Moved back in with my parents in that tiny apartment and became fully dependent on them for everything. Like a teenager who never grew up, because that's exactly what he was. They'd spent his whole life making sure he never had to deal with the real world, and when the real world finally showed up at his door, he had zero tools to handle it. My parents, broke, exhausted, crammed into a 2-bedroom place with their adult son who destroyed their lives, couldn't survive the pressure. After 25 years of marriage, they separated. Dad moved in with his brother. Mom picked up a second job at a retail store just to cover rent, working 60 hours a week in her 50s because everything they'd built was gone. Their whole world collapsed, and the only person responsible for it was the same person they'd chosen over me every single day for 18 years. The perfect family image they'd spent decades building? Gone. People in the neighborhood, the old neighborhood, talked about them like a cautionary tale. Other parents avoided them. Dad lost potential jobs from people who'd heard the story. Mom lost clients who didn't want to work with someone whose family situation was that messy. And the whole time this was happening, I was at Arizona State on a full ride, making Dean's List, working my way up to shift supervisor at the gym, building a life that actually belonged to me. The calls kept coming, got more desperate every month, longer voicemails, more emotional, more revealing about how bad things had gotten. We know we made mistakes. Your mother cries every night. People keep asking about you and we don't know what to tell them. The business is gone and I don't know how to organize anything the way you used to. We just want our son back. But still, no apology. Not a single one. Just different versions of, we need you. like I was a tool they'd misplaced and wanted back on the shelf. Not a person they'd hurt who deserved to hear the words, "I'm sorry." I saved every one of those voicemails, by the way, not because I wanted to listen to them again, but because I wanted proof, for myself for later, that I wasn't making this up, that it really happened the way I remember it, that I wasn't the crazy one. Then last month, full circle. I was at my apartment near campus. Finals week. Had my laptop open, notes everywhere, half a cold burrito sitting on the desk that I'd been meaning to finish for like 2 hours. Phone rang from a number I didn't know. Almost let it go to voicemail. I don't know why I picked up. Something just told me to. Dad. Calling from his brother's phone because I'd blocked every number connected to my family over a year ago. Son. And his voice? Man. It didn't even sound like him. It sounded old, worn out. Like someone had taken the Rick I grew up with and run him through a decade in 2 years. Don't hang up, please. I know you've got every right to, but just don't hang up. I didn't say anything, just waited. He started talking and it came out in this messy rush. Lost the house, business gone, savings wiped, marriage done. Cole living with mom in the apartment, can't keep a job, can't function, can't do anything for himself. Both parents working minimum wage and barely making it. We know why you left. His voice dropped. We've had 2 years to sit with it. We canceled your 18th birthday because your brother was upset about a trip. Your whole childhood. We treated you like you didn't matter. And you were the only reason any of it worked. I sat there with my cold burrito and my laptop and just listened. First time he'd ever said anything that sounded like truth. We need help, he said. You could hear what it cost him to get those words out. Not money. I know you're in school. We don't deserve money from you, but just advice, guidance. You're the only one who knows how to make things work. You're the only one of us who has their life together. Mom got on after him, already crying. Baby, I'm so sorry. We don't deserve anything from you, but you were the best thing we had and we threw it away for somebody who burned everything down. I let them go until they ran out of steam. Then I talked. Wasn't yelling, wasn't dramatic. Just said it. Yeah, you're right. You don't deserve forgiveness. You took my birthday away because Cole was sad about a vacation. You spent 18 years making me invisible unless something needed fixing. And you turned him into somebody who wrecked your whole life because you couldn't tell him no. Not once. Quiet on their end? Real quiet? But look, here's where we're at. I don't need you guys. Figured that out a while ago. I've got people who actually show up for me. I'm building something real. I'm not coming back to be the family handyman. Could hear Mom sniffling on the line. If you want something going forward, an actual relationship, not me fixing your problems, then here's the deal. Cole gets a real job and starts paying back what he took. You both say out loud to people, not just me, that what you did was wrong. And everything from here runs on respect, not guilt, not we're family so you owe us. Respect. Dad. Barely a whisper. Whatever you need. We'll do it. And one more thing. I'm not your son coming home to save the day. I'm a grown man deciding whether or not to let you back in. That's what this is. Need you to understand that. They agreed to everything. Anyway, over the past month I've been watching from a distance. Dad got Cole a job. Mom's been working on some kind of written acknowledgement of what happened. They're trying. Whether it sticks, I honestly don't know. Part of me thinks Cole will fall right back into the same patterns the second things get hard. Part of me thinks my parents will slip back into protecting him the way they always did. That's the loose thread in all this, honestly. People don't change overnight, especially not people who spent 25 years doing the same thing. I want to believe they mean it, but I've been burned too many times to take anybody's word for anything anymore. So I wait, and I watch. And I keep building my own life regardless of what they do with theirs. Will I ever fully forgive them? Probably not. The damage went too deep and lasted too long. But watching them lose everything they chose over me while I built a life they couldn't touch? I'm not going to pretend that didn't feel like something. I'm not calling it revenge. Revenge is loud. This was just quiet. The quiet kid finally walking away and letting the noise sort itself out.
He spent 18 years holding up a house that wasn't built for him. The kid who paid the bills and got told to figure it out, who tutored his brother and got no credit, who kept the whole machine running and got called mature as a reason to be ignored. They canceled his 18th birthday for a Vegas trip that didn't even happen and told him he was strong enough to take it. And he was. He was strong enough to take it, pack his bags, and build an entire life without them, while they watched everything they chose over him burn to the ground. The quiet ones don't always finish last. Sometimes they just leave the room and let everyone else figure out what was holding the ceiling up. That's it for today, everybody. This one stuck with me, and I think it'll stick with you too. Was he right to leave the way he did? Should he give them another chance or keep his distance? And what about Cole? Do you think people like that ever really change? Drop a comment, let me hear it. And if you're not subscribed yet, come on now. You know you want to. We do this every week. This is Finn, Family Reddit Tale. Catch you in the next one.